My love, I don't know if this letter will ever reach your hands. I don't even know if there will still be a tomorrow for me by the time the sun rises. All I know is that tonight feels heavier than any other night I've lived, and I can't face it without talking to you one last time, even if only through these words. We're camped along the coast of Normandy, hidden in the darkness, waiting. The air smells like salt, oil, and damp earth. The sound of the sea never stops, crashing softly against the shore as if it doesn't know what's coming. Around me, men sit quietly, checking their gear for the 10th time, pretending they're calm. Some whisper prayers. Others stare into nothing. No one is really sleeping. I keep thinking about home, about Ohio, about how quiet the nights were there. I never imagined silence could feel so loud until I found myself here, surrounded by thousands of soldiers, yet alone with my thoughts. This waiting, it's worse than the fighting we trained for. Waiting gives your mind too much space. I remember the first time I saw you. It wasn't anything dramatic. You were standing outside the grocery store, arguing with the clerk about the price of apples. I smiled because you looked so serious over something so small. When you noticed me, you rolled your eyes and laughed, embarrassed. That laugh stayed with me. It still does. We were just kids then, really, talking about nothing and everything at the same time. We didn't have plans for war, or history, or sacrifice. We talked about a small house, Sunday mornings, maybe kids someday, normal things, ordinary dreams. Back then, ordinary felt guaranteed. Now it feels like a gift I didn't know how to protect. Life before the war feels like another lifetime. I worked at the factory during the day, came home tired and smelling like metal and grease. You'd be there, already changing into your old clothes, ready to complain about your own long day. We'd sit at the table, sharing dinner, sharing silence, sharing life. I thought that was just how things were supposed to be forever. Then Pearl Harbor happened and forever changed its meaning. I remember listening to the radio, your hand gripping mine so tight it hurt. The announcer's voice was steady, but the words felt unreal. An attack, death, war. The room felt smaller after that. Like the world had suddenly leaned closer, watching us. We didn't say much that night. We didn't have to. We both knew something had shifted. I told myself I wouldn't enlist right away. I said I needed time. That we needed time. But every day after that felt borrowed. Every newspaper headline, every poster on the street, every conversation at work pushed me closer to a decision I was pretending I hadn't already made. I wasn't brave. I was scared. But I was also afraid of staying behind while others went. When I finally told you, you didn't cry right away. You just looked at me, like you were memorizing my face. That hurt more than tears would have. You asked me if I was sure. I said yes, even though I wasn't. You nodded slowly and hugged me, like you were afraid I'd disappear if you let go. Training was hard, but it was simple. Orders made sense. Days had structure. Fear felt manageable when it was shared. But nothing prepared me for this night, for knowing that by this time tomorrow, so many of us won't be here anymore, that some names will already belong to the past. I keep touching the paper, as if it might anchor me. My hands are steady for now, but my chest feels tight. I'm not writing this to sound brave. I don't feel brave. I feel human. I feel like a man who loves his wife and wants to go home. If I could choose where to be tonight, it wouldn't be here. It would be next to you, listening to the house settle, feeling your breathing slow as you fall asleep. I'd give anything for that ordinary peace again. Anything. But instead, I'm here, writing by dim light, waiting for dawn, waiting for history to move forward, whether I survive it or not. There's more I need to say, things I can't leave unsaid. As long as I have this night, I'll keep writing. As the hours pass, the camp grows quieter, not because anyone has found peace, but because we're all running out of things to say. You can only joke so much before the weight of what's coming settles in. The jokes fade, the laughter disappears. What's left is the truth we've been avoiding all along. I keep replaying the moment I left home. The train platform was crowded, noisy, full of families pretending they weren't scared, mothers holding back tears. Others standing a little straighter than usual. You stood there with your hands folded, calm on the outside, breaking on the inside. I remember thinking that if I looked at you for too long, I wouldn't get on that train at all. The ride felt endless. Towns blurred together through the window, each one looking like a place I could have lived a normal life in. Every mile put more distance between me and the world that made sense. I tried to convince myself I was doing the right thing, that this was necessary, that somehow this would protect the life we wanted. The first time I held a rifle, it didn't feel heroic. It felt heavy, cold, real. They taught us how to move, how to aim, how to survive. They didn't teach us how to stop thinking about the people we loved. No drill prepared me for that. No command ever silenced the thought of you. At night, I'd lie awake, listening to the breathing of the men around me. Different rhythms, different fears. Some talked in their sleep. Some cried quietly, thinking no one could hear. I learned then that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's waking up anyway, marching anyway, carrying your fear with you like extra weight. I made friends, real ones, the kind that only exist when you're all trapped in the same nightmare. There was Tommy from New York, who never stopped talking about the pizza back home, said it was the only thing keeping him sane. And Lewis from Kansas, who carried a picture of his daughter folded so many times, it was almost worn through. He showed it to me once and said, "This is why I'm coming back." I didn't have the heart to tell him that wanting to come back doesn't always make it happen. When we crossed into France, everything felt different. The air, the ground, the silence between gunfire. War here didn't look like the posters back home. It looked broken. Empty houses, roads torn apart, fields that would never grow anything again. I kept thinking about how someone once lived a full life in those places, just like we did back home. Tonight, the sea keeps rolling in, steady and indifferent. The waves don't care about uniforms or flags. They don't care who wins or loses. They'll still be here long after we're gone. That thought is strange, but it's also grounding. It reminds me how small we are, and how big love can be in such a small life. I won't lie to you. I'm scared, not of dying exactly, but of leaving things unfinished, of leaving you with questions I won't be here to answer. That's why I'm writing everything now, so nothing important stays trapped in my chest. If tomorrow goes the way they say it will, this letter might be all that's left of me. And if that's true, I want it to carry my voice, not just my name. I want you to hear me in these words, to know I was thinking of you, loving you, right up until the very end. The night is getting shorter. The officers are moving quietly now, orders whispered, boots shifting. History is waking up. I'm still here, I'm still writing, and as long as I can, I will. The waiting tonight feels endless, like time itself has slowed down to watch us. I can hear officers moving between the tents, boots sinking softly into the wet ground, voices low and careful. No one wants to say too much, as if words might make what's coming more real than it already is. Every man here knows tomorrow will change everything, but none of us know exactly how. I keep thinking about how strange it is that a life can be reduced to a few personal objects. My helmet, my rifle, this letter. Back home, my life was made of routines and small choices. Here, it feels like everything I am could disappear in a single moment. That thought doesn't come with panic anymore. It comes with clarity, and that clarity keeps pulling my thoughts back to you. I regret how many things I assumed would always be there. Our kitchen table, your shoes by the door, the sound of you humming while you worked around the house. I didn't know those details were the real center of my life until distance and war stripped everything else away. Out here, those memories are stronger than any weapon I carry. Some of the men are trying to sleep now. I can hear uneven breathing, restless movement, the occasional cough. Others sit like I do, writing letters they hope will survive them. It's strange to think that tomorrow so many stories will end before they're finished. I wonder how many letters like this will never be read, lost somewhere between battlefields and home. I think back to the nights we stayed up talking about the future, making plans that felt simple and reachable. We never imagined history would demand a price from us. We never imagined our love would be tested like this. But if love can survive distance, fear, and the possibility of death, then maybe it's stronger than we ever knew. I won't pretend I understand why this war had to happen. I only know why I came. I came because I believed protecting something fragile, even imperfect, was better than standing still and watching it fall apart. Whether that belief was right or wrong may never matter now. What matters is that my heart stayed with you, even when my body crossed an ocean. The sea is louder now. The tide is changing. Somewhere out there, ships are lined up, engines quiet, waiting for the signal that will send us forward. Dawn isn't far. I can feel it pressing closer, the way you feel a storm before the first drop of rain hits. My hands are steady, but my chest feels tight. Not from fear alone, from the weight of knowing this night might be the last quiet moment I ever have. If it is, then I'm grateful I'm spending it this way. Putting my thoughts on paper, reaching for you across time and distance. I don't know what kind of man I'll be tomorrow if I get the chance to find out. I only know who I am right now. Someone who loves deeply, who misses home, and who wants to be remembered not for how he died, but for how he lived. The light is dimmer now, but I'll keep writing as long as I can see the page. There are still things I need to say, things that matter. The darkness around us feels heavier now, as if the night itself knows it's running out of time. The quiet is different too. It's not peaceful. It's tense, stretched thin, ready to snap. Every small sound stands out. The shuffle of boots, metal clicking softly, a man clearing his throat somewhere nearby. No one speaks unless they have to. I keep thinking about how close the world feels tonight. Not physically, but emotionally. Every memory presses in at once, like my mind is trying to show me everything I've ever loved before it's too late. Faces, voices, ordinary moments that never felt important until now. I can see your face so clearly it almost hurts. I think about the day we said goodbye, not the words, we didn't say many, but the space between them. The way time seemed to hesitate, like it wanted to give us one more second. I remember the weight of my bag on my shoulder and how wrong it felt to walk away from you. Every step after that felt borrowed, like I was already living on time I hadn't earned yet. Out here, bravery is quiet. It doesn't look like the movies. It looks like men sitting still, hands folded, staring at nothing. It looks like someone sharing a cigarette without saying a word. It looks like writing letters you might never finish. Courage, I've learned, is mostly about staying present when everything in you wants to run. Some of the younger guys are shaking. They try to hide it, but you can see it in their hands, in the way their eyes dart back and forth. I don't judge them. Fear doesn't care how old you are or how strong you think you are. It finds everyone eventually. The only difference is how long you can carry it without breaking. I've asked myself more than once tonight if this is worth it, if the cost is too high, if any cause can justify what's about to happen. I don't have a clean answer. All I know is that tomorrow, thousands of men will move forward because they were told to, because they promised to, because turning back feels worse than facing what's ahead. I wonder how history will remember this moment. Will they call it brave? Necessary? Will they turn it into something clean and simple? I hope someone remembers the truth, that it was messy, terrifying, and full of men who wanted nothing more than to go home. If I don't make it through tomorrow, I don't want my story wrapped in speeches or flags. I want it remembered in small human ways, in the way I laughed too loud sometimes, in the way I held your hand when I was nervous, in the way I believed love was worth risking everything for. The horizon is changing. I can't see it clearly, but I can feel it. The night is thinning. Orders will come soon. This quiet won't last much longer. When the first light breaks, there won't be time for writing or thinking, only moving. I'm folding these pages carefully, like that might protect them somehow, like the care I put into these words can carry them safely across everything that stands between us. It's a small hope, but tonight, small hopes are all I have. I'm still here, still breathing, still holding on to the sound of your voice in my head. And until I'm forced to move, I'll stay right here with these thoughts, writing, remembering, loving. There's a strange honesty that comes when you stop pretending you're in control. Tonight has stripped that illusion away. I don't get to decide how tomorrow ends, but I do get to decide what I leave behind. And what I want to leave behind is truth, plain, imperfect, human truth. I need you to know something important. I wasn't fearless when I volunteered. I didn't feel noble or destined. I felt torn. Part of me wanted to stay, to protect the small world we were building together. Another part believed that if I didn't go, I'd spend the rest of my life wondering who I could have been. I chose the harder path, not because it was right, but because it felt unavoidable. War changes the way you think about loss. You start measuring it in advance, bracing yourself before it happens. I've watched men make peace with futures they'll never see. I've watched others cling desperately to the idea of survival like it was a personal promise the universe owed them. Neither approach guarantees anything. Out here, hope is fragile, but it's also stubborn. I think about the things I'll never get to do if this ends tomorrow. I won't complain about work anymore. I won't argue with you over small things that never really mattered. I won't feel the weight of a normal morning settling into place. It's strange how quickly you learn what was important only after it's threatened. If you're holding this letter now, I want you to understand that none of this was wasted. Even if my life ends here, it was still full. Full because of you, because love gives meaning to time, no matter how much or how little of it you get. I'd rather have lived one honest life with you than a long one without that kind of connection. I hope you don't spend your days wondering if you could have changed anything. You couldn't. Some paths only reveal their ending once you're already walking them. What matters is how we walked together while we could. That's the part worth holding on to. Around me, men are standing now, quietly, purposefully. The waiting is almost over. I can feel the shift in the air, the moment when anticipation turns into action. There's fear in that shift, but there's also resolve. No one here wants to be remembered as someone who froze. If this is where my story stops, let it stop with love, not regret. Let it stop knowing I gave everything I had to the people I cared about. Let it stop without bitterness. I wish I could promise you a reunion. I wish I could promise a future where this letter becomes just a dramatic memory we laugh about years from now. But promises don't mean much on nights like this. All I can give you is honesty, and this is it. Whatever happens tomorrow, my last quiet thoughts were of you. The light is almost gone now. The paper is harder to see. But I'm not done yet. There are still a few things that matter too much to leave unsaid. It's strange how the mind drifts toward forgiveness when there's nothing left to defend. I find myself replaying old disagreements, small hurts, words spoken without thinking. None of them matter now. If I ever made you feel unseen or unheard, I'm sorry. Not in a polite way, but in the only way that matters, because I understand now how fragile time really is. I forgive myself too, for being uncertain, for being afraid, for not knowing how to be everything at once. I carried that weight for a long time, thinking a man had to be unbreakable. Tonight, I know better. Being human was never a weakness. Loving was never a mistake. I think about the men around me and wonder how many unfinished thoughts they're carrying, how many apologies they never said, how many hopes they're quietly setting down. We stand close, but each of us is alone in our own way, saying goodbye in our own language. The wind has picked up, carrying the smell of the sea and fuel. Somewhere offshore, engines hum softly, restrained, waiting. It feels like the world is holding its breath. I keep my eyes on the page, because if I look up, I might see the future arriving too fast. If tomorrow takes me, I want you to know that I didn't go angry. I didn't go hating anyone. I didn't go feeling cheated by life. I go knowing I loved deeply, and that love shaped me into someone better than I ever would have been on my own. Please don't let this letter become a weight you carry forever. Read it once, twice, maybe a third time if you need to. Then let it rest. Let it be something you return to only when it brings comfort, not pain. Love isn't meant to trap us in grief. It's meant to carry us forward. I hope you keep small traditions alive. The quiet ones. Sunday mornings. Coffee at the table. Music playing softly in the background. These things matter more than grand gestures ever will. They're how life heals itself. The men are lining up now. Final checks, final nods, no speeches, no dramatic goodbyes. Just the understanding that the next time we move, everything will be different. The pen feels heavier in my hand, not because of exhaustion alone, but because I know this part of the night is almost over. If there's any part of me that stays behind, let it be the part that loved you gently and honestly. Let that be what you remember when the days feel long and quiet. I'm folding the pages now, careful not to crease them too sharply. It feels like tucking something precious away, hoping it survives even if I don't. I don't know who will find this letter or how it will reach you, but I trust that it will, somehow. There's just a little more left to say. The final thoughts come slowly, but they're clear. I'll write them while I still can. There's a quiet acceptance settling in now, the kind that doesn't ask questions anymore. The fear hasn't disappeared, but it no longer controls my thoughts. It's like standing at the edge of something vast, and finally understanding that fighting the tide won't change where it leads. All I can do is choose how I meet it. I find myself thinking less about the war and more about the life that existed before it. About who I was when my biggest worries were small and manageable. About the version of me that laughed easily, that believed the future was something you could plan instead of something that happened to you. I didn't lose that man here. I brought him with me. He's still part of these words. If you ever wonder whether I was thinking of you in my final hours, I want you to know that you were never absent from my mind. Not even for a moment. Every sound, every movement, every pause between thoughts circled back to you. Loving you became my way of staying grounded when everything else felt unreal. I hope you don't remember me only through this letter. I hope you remember me through the quiet moments we shared, through the way we sat together without needing to speak, through the ordinary days that didn't feel special until they were gone. That's where the truth of a life really lives. The men around me are steady now, focused. Whatever doubts they carried earlier have settled into determination. There's a strange calm in that, knowing everyone here has reached the same point of understanding. We don't know what tomorrow holds, but we're done pretending it doesn't matter. If I could ask one thing of you, it would be this. Don't let this moment define the rest of your life. Let it be a chapter, not the whole story. Pain has a way of convincing us it's permanent, but it isn't. It fades. It softens. And eventually, it makes room for something else. I wish I could see what comes next for you. I wish I could know that you're safe, that you find peace, that the world treats you gently after this. I won't be there to help carry the weight, and that thought hurts more than anything else, but I believe in you. I always have. The night is almost over. The sky is beginning to change, just slightly, like it's testing the idea of morning. Soon there won't be time for writing or reflection. Soon there will only be movement, noise, and decisions made in seconds. If these pages are the last trace of me, let them stand as proof that love existed here, even in the shadow of something terrible. Let them remind you that I lived fully, even if briefly, that I chose love over fear, even when fear was everywhere. I'm placing the pen down for a moment now, not because I'm finished, but because I need to gather what little strength I have left. There's one final part to this letter, and I want to write it clearly. The sky is changing now. It's subtle, almost gentle, but it's there. The darkness is giving way to something pale and uncertain. Dawn is coming, whether we're ready for it or not. The men around me are standing, adjusting their gear, moving with quiet purpose. There's no turning back now. Whatever tomorrow brings is already on its way. I'm writing these last lines with hands that feel heavier than before, not from fear, but from the weight of knowing this is goodbye. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind, the kind that settles in slowly and stays. If this letter reaches you, I want you to read it, knowing that I didn't face this moment alone. I carried you with me, every step, every breath, every second of this night. Loving you was the constant that never wavered, even as everything else did. Please remember me gently, not as a soldier frozen in this moment, but as the man who shared your life, your laughter, your ordinary days. Remember the version of me that belonged to home, not to war. That's who I was before history claimed the rest. I don't regret loving you the way I did. If anything, I regret not saying it more often, not slowing down enough to appreciate how rare and fragile that kind of connection is. But I take comfort in knowing that you knew, that you felt it too. When this is over, when the world keeps moving forward without me, I hope you do the same. I hope you find reasons to smile again. I hope you build a life that feels full, even if it looks different from what we imagined. That won't diminish what we had. It will honor it. If there's any part of me that stays behind, let it live in the small things, in quiet mornings, in familiar songs, in moments of stillness when the world pauses just long enough for memory to surface. That's where I'll be. The sound of the sea is louder now. Orders are being passed down the line. The night is ending. I'm folding these pages carefully, like that somehow protects what's written here. Maybe it does. Maybe love has its own way of surviving. This is the end of my words, but not the end of what we were, that lives on in ways neither war nor time can erase. With all that I am, Samuel.